Hey, welcome into the Husker247 Daily. Michael Bruntz here, Brian Christopherson over there, back from Los Angeles after Nebraska polished off a 28-21 win over UCLA. We're just going to get into it, I guess. A lot to like offensively with what Nebraska did, I think. I think we've got to start with TJ Lateef and Emmett Johnson. I mean, there's really nowhere else to go there, right?
Yeah, you probably got to start there. TJ, I think had as good a start as you could have possibly dreamt up, and I don't even think that's overkill. I mean, when to go 11 for 11 before an incompletion, to have 3 drives in the first half where they ran 23 plays and had 195 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was efficient. It was a strong connection between Holgerson and his quarterback and like how to use him and get him going in his first game. And I think produce some layups for him to be effective, but you still have to hit those layups. And he did. And I just thought he looked really poised. And I love the fact, Brunts, that, from the jump, he tucked it and ran on that first play on a zone read. And Emmett Johnson said after the game, he's like, okay, he's ready. Like, I know, like, cause the guy, he was ready. Like, I'm going to take a hit here. Let's go. I'm rolling with this ball. And he got 14 yards and it gave UCLA something to think about. Not that they weren't already suspecting he was going to run a little bit, but it was like right off the bat, there you go. That's going to be on the plate or on the menu tonight.
We haven't really discussed this, but my fear was this. So Nebraska has this great opening drive, which they've done for the most part this year, and then UCLA goes on this just march that Michigan State did the same thing. My fear was that like UCLA is going to go on this long touchdown drive or this long drive, and whatever momentum you had from that Nebraska scoring drive, it was going to be kind of the settling into kind of the just kind of blah offense that Nebraska's had at times in the second and third quarters this year. But to their credit, they just got right back in there and started moving the ball again. Certainly Emmett Johnson helped that, but I was impressed with the way that they just kept playing in that first half, because I think at least there was the possibility that Nebraska was going to backslide a little bit and maybe not have that same crispness after they'd gone on that first scoring drive.
Yeah, the whole half they had juice. Obviously, Emmett had it, and the O-line had it too. I think this is a run blocking crew. We kind of heard that in the offseason, and I think they've merged more toward that lane for obvious reasons because number 21 is really good, but also that's what they do the best up front. They're better at it than pass pro, and so when they've tilted the game plan that way, you're seeing that group be more effective. And you're right, they didn't take the pedal off, and that includes the first drive of the second half. And obviously, the third quarter has been a bugaboo against power conference teams, well documented. It ended up 7-7 this particular quarter, but that initial drive obviously was huge. Ended up being the difference in points by the end of it. But to come out and just like we're still going at you, and UCLA after the game, if you read their comments from like interim coach Tim Skipper and even like their talk from like their beat writers and stuff, their feeling I got was like they were very fortunate this was like a 7-point game at the end. It felt like they were sort of getting beat in the trenches, and that's always a good thing when you leave a game like that.
What did you make of just kind of the load that Nebraska put on Lateef's shoulders in that game? Because I think it was a great game plan. I think it fit really well what he does. And I was, when Nebraska had to kind of go out there and run its 4-minute offense at the end of the game, I thought they put a lot of trust in him to throw a couple of those passes, given what Nebraska was able to get done on the ground a little bit. But you hit the slant, the throw to Hunter, I think was kind of the backbreaker in that one a little bit too, where it gave him a little bit of breathing room. He hit him over the middle. It was I don't know if it was the first read on that play, but he found him and on the run made a really nice throw. But what did you kind of make of just overall what they were asking him to do in his first start?
It was a great balance between, hey, we trust you and we're not going to ask you to do anything crazy. I think they really walked that line perfectly. And you can evolve from that now. And you probably there are areas where maybe you can be even more aggressive going forward. I didn't think, even though like in the third or fourth quarter, there was some back and forth, like if Nebraska got conservative, maybe some of that's more aimed at like Nebraska's defense. But I thought the offensive plan was pretty consistent throughout. There were just a couple drives where they took a couple TFLs and it sort of threw them off schedule. And then you had a drop, like that would have probably kept one of those drives alive, and maybe you would have scored on that one. So if there was one disappointing part, it was that they didn't have that one drive sort of between the first one of the second half and the last one of the game where you just put them away. But I didn't actually think it was because of a shift in game calling or lack of trust in TJ or anything like that, at least on the offensive end.
Let's shift to Emmett Johnson. I mean, it kind of felt that way before, but I mean, we're in the midst of one of like those seasons, right? We're like 10 years from now, you're still talking about things that he did this year that maybe not pulling a rabbit out of the hat, but I mean, he's really kind of made some plays this year that weren't there. I thought that run down the sideline, well blocked. You had Rocco Spindler way downfield throwing blocks on that play. But I mean, Emmett did a lot of that himself with just the way he kind of tiptoed along the sideline there.
He's a unique player too, in ones I've covered, in that I don't know if someone who's been so great in a season, where he always believed this would happen, but not everybody else did. Most people didn't think he could get to this level. I don't think, if you're honest, like they thought he could be good. They didn't necessarily say he'd be great. Like even with Amir Abdullah, you go back to like his 2014 season. Amir, maybe his freshman year wasn't like the highest thought of recruit in that bunch, but he had like a kick return right away his freshman year for a touchdown. And like his sophomore year, Rex got hurt, and you saw pretty quickly, like, okay, Amir's pretty good. And there was like this build up toward that final season where they were confident enough, even before it began, to hand out the battery,
Yeah.
the AA batteries, and have him be a speaker at Big Ten media days and stuff like that. Like it was already known going into that year he was going to be great. My point about Emmett is, I don't remember one quite like this where it's like, yeah, he's good. Or do they have that really good back though? That was the question like 2.5 months ago. And now, I snuck away to the back of the press box at one point. Okay, I was using the restroom, if I'm honest, in the Rose Bowl. And so they have the UCLA radio broadcast on in there. And the color analyst for the UCLA is like, this guy, should like be a Heisman candidate. That's how they were talking. And I was like, that's interesting. It was just to hear that from the other side of the fence. Like he's not only going now for first team all Big Ten. Yeah, he should go get that. It's like now you start to wonder, like, is All America stuff and things like that on the table for him?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Like they're even back in the spring, I think there was a camp of people that believe that Emmett could be a fine featured back at Nebraska. I don't know that anybody saw this level of production coming from him, even in the ideal. And what he's done as a receiver, what he's done as improving as a pass blocker. I mean, it really is turning into a pretty special year, and it is going to be it's going to be fascinating when they get towards the end of the season because the numbers are going to look great. I believe he's only one of 4 players right now in FBS that has 200 carries or more. I mean, it's not like this is a flash in the pan type thing. I mean, Nebraska's really leaned on him a ton this year. And yeah, I mean, I think a couple of weeks ago, like, well, is he going to have the votes to be all Big Ten, first team all Big Ten? And I'm with you. I mean, I think you're getting more into the All-American type conversation about whether he's going to get that level of respect. I mean, I think from the coaches, absolutely. We'll see if the media catches on here. But I mean, in some ways, the people over at Nebraska Sports Information Department are probably having to scramble a little bit with how you kind of push this guy as a potential candidate. Because I don't know that, 3-4 weeks ago, that was really in the cards or, people were expecting it to continue to roll the way that it has.
Yeah, let's look real quick at the Big Ten back. So Amir is he's second in the country in yardage amongst running backs, and the only guy ahead of him is Cam Cook, who's at Jacksonville State. He's ahead of him by like 38 yards. But after that, the only other guy in the league who's close to him is Antoine Raymond from Rutgers, who's at 1,000 yards on the dot, and Emmett has 1,131 yards, so he's 131 yards ahead of the Rutgers guy. Justice Haynes is a great back from Michigan, but he got dinged up a couple games and missed it. So as far as the all conference stuff, if he just keeps on his level, I mean, no doubt on that. And you're right. Then it's like, well, look at the nationwide numbers. He's right at the top of that too. So don't even sell it short. Like, well, maybe he slips on third or second team. Heck, he could be first team. And all those running back awards and whatever you give out, Doak Walker, all that stuff, he's got to be a guy who is thought of as like a finalist at this point. Not only because of his stats, Brunts, but what he means. Like this team, I think, had to sort of shift its direction a little bit, and he's helped guide that and just been a workhorse for him. And he's meant a couple wins to his team too. So from all vantage points, stats, and just like how valuable are you actually to your squad beyond the numbers? Incredibly.
Yeah, definitely. And a week to get rested up for Emmett and the team. We'll hear from Matt Rule later today on Monday. That's going to be the only media availability through the bye week, but keep it locked on Husker 24/7 for all the latest from that session and throughout the bye week.